I built a floating office pod in my garage so I could get a little work-life balance, or at least I thought I would. It ended up being months of me tackling things I had no experience with, but the real question is, after failing to make a usable office pod in a previous video, will this one actually work for me? I don't want another permanent built-in ornament in my house, and it has to work because I'll be revealing it to my DIY YouTube rival to see what he thinks.
Why does this have to happen?
Time was tight, so I started out the gate at 100 miles per hour, cutting the straightest line I've ever cut in my life. You may be thinking, you're just doing this video because your last office pod got 16 million views. I would never just do it for the views.
Ooh.
I'm doing it for a couple other reasons and that.
Do I just need to go slam a JAMA mode? Do I need to go into my alpha alter ego?
Let's be real, I don't need an office pod hanging off the wall in my garage, but do I want it? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's get some boots on. Never bring flip-flops to a fight.
But do I have a practical purpose in making this thing? Focus. Although I'm starting to question whether this was a good idea.
What have I done? This wall's just been sitting there for 7 years since I moved in. I had to do something about it.
This cotton candy made my throat itch, but it's all for a purpose. Sure, not working in a house with 3 little kids will help me get more done, but my real goal is focus when I'm not working. Lately, I've been thinking about work non-stop during family time, so I'm hoping that moving my office to the garage will help me have a little separation so I can be fully locked in when I'm with my family.
I might have just burned this thing out instantly. I was pushing a little too hard. Let's see if it works now.
If I wanted things to be separated, it had to be in the garage, but floor space in the garage is at a premium, and I don't have any to spare. So the only natural alternative is to put it on the ceiling, of course.
Is this something people do?
Anybody can build a tiny office. The question is, will I actually want to sit in this thing for more than a day? Or is it about to become a very expensive garage ornament? After all, I spent a day in my last office pod under the stairs and had neck pain for 3 and never went back to it. I don't want another relic in my home. To answer the question of whether it'll work as my office, at the end of this build, I'm gonna spend a full 8-hour workday in what I'm calling the Cloud Pod. So basically, I'm gonna have a normal workday, but using this tiny office. What do you want me to do? Fill it with dead Legos and bouncy balls to see if I get claustrophobic? Not again.
Get me out of here!
Well, my in-laws came to town and are staying in my guest room office, so there's no better time to get started on this thing. Let's go. I'm currently making the legs for the office, which will hopefully be invisible, and I'd be lying if I told you I had total confidence in these things holding me up.
All right, my welds started off not so delicious. These are the ones I started with. Pretty bad. This is what I'm working with right now. I'm pretty pleased with that. I'll take it. I'll take it. Let's try this again. I gotta grind this weld off because I was supposed to put a shim in there. And I know that my kids are gonna watch this in the future. So I can't let them see me taking shortcuts. I thought about it, but I'm not gonna do it.
My father assured me that 4-inch steel would be plenty to hold me up.
Yeehaw, doggy! Woo!
And I have no reason not to trust him. After all, he did design roller coasters at Disney for 25 years. But this is a little more complex than your little fun and game roller coasters, Dad. Okay, maybe not, but that thing's gonna be holding precious cargo. Me. Luckily, I'll be able to test it in a minute without having to wait for the thing to be fully built.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. That's a pretty good looking weld.
I went through quite a lot of ideas for how I was gonna support this pod safely.
Okay, let's see how this fits. Oh yeah. Oh, that's pretty perfect little thing there. Okay.
In fact, I went through about 10 iterations trying to figure out a way that was gonna look awesome, be safe, and not be too expensive. I don't wanna see the legs. I feel like that's just gonna ruin the magic. After all, it's supposed to be a floating office pod. So I spoke to structural engineers who suggested anchoring it with pylons, which was gonna cost well over $10,000 and take 3 months. And I genuinely considered that, but then I remembered, oh yeah, I don't have $10,000 or 3 months. So I knew I had to get creative.
Well, that went well. A little wobbly. That's okay. Time for the strength test.
Let's find out if these things are strong enough to hold me up. All right, well, that's good news. Looks like these will do fine.
I did it. I did it wrong. Why? Of course. Come on. Why does this have to happen? Put the legs on the wrong side. I thought it was all going so well. Right, this one's right in the middle of a stud. I'm gonna be sitting here grinding forever.
The hidden feature of these legs is that they'll be built fully into the wall, so that hopefully you won't be able to see them at all. But with the way I built it, they were not fitting in the wall.
Ain't budging. I bought a beefy Sawzall. We're gonna see if this works.
It would be a major inconvenience if I had to scrap these legs and restart, but it's looking like that might happen because I'm having a heck of a time getting these things apart.
It's not cutting.
I must be a pretty dang good welder. I'm gonna take that as a win. Call it a night and think on it until morning.
Ah, yes. My nemesis. Let's get to work.
Between not having the right tools and my expert welding, this set me back a full day. These are cantilevered legs. I got the inspiration from my dining chairs.
Daddy gonna go beast mode on it. Yeah, baby. Woo! Man alive, that was hard.
Toward the end of this build, I'm revealing it to my DIY YouTube rival to get his reaction. He's actually a good buddy of mine. He built some incredible projects that get millions of views, and a while back he made a raised office pod in his shop. We thought it was a funny coincidence that we had similar ideas, which actually turned out pretty different in the end, but we thought it'd be fun to react to each other's builds on our videos. I reacted to his build a few months ago on his channel, so now it's his turn. I've also got a little challenge for him that's gonna put him to work, so hopefully he accepts.
Oh, that's heavy. Bro, what if it breaks? Don't you want to test it out?
I am testing it.
That snaps, bro.
That was my test.
Looks like these legs are gonna work fine. Hopefully they'll fit in the wall, and I won't have to make any more changes.
Just gotta do it quickly. Let's see if it fits. The moment of truth. What's in the way? Oh, I forgot. The bolt.
Let's just pretend like that's not important.
No wobble. Just looking at it, it should probably be fine. We gotta level it out. So first obstacle, I just hit my head on this so hard. I'm not sure, actually you can see, it's like red right there. That's the perks of having a bald head. I actually hit my head on my miter saw first, and literally 5 seconds later, I went under here to grab something and I whacked my head on this. My wife came out and was like, "Are you okay?" Because she heard, "Oh!" I'm good. I'm good.
Step one to making these legs disappear is complete. My next step is covering it with drywall, which might be tricky.
So I hit my head again on the frame.
All right, it's time to call my buddy, the DIY YouTuber, Morley Kurt. Here's a quick montage of his channel beforehand.
Hey!
Howdy.
How's it going, man?
It's good. Getting the new space rocking.
Oh, heck yeah. I thought I'd set up a little challenge for you to win something.
Oh.
So I thought that if you can think of a good idea for some steps and I end up using it and liking it, then you get a permanent bobblehead in my tiny office of you.
Ooh.
The 3 criteria are this. It can't be too time consuming. It can't be too costly.
I like how vague these are.
Yeah. It can't take too long for me to get in.
Yeah.
And it can't be too gigantic in my garage. After all, this is a 3-car garage. Challenge accepted?
Yeah.
Cool, man.
All
Well, I'm
right,
excited to
challenge
see what
accepted.
you got.
Yeah, I will start thinking.
My buddy Jacob helped me out by doing all the cuts on the lumber for this build, and there were a lot. I really wanted to be careful with this wall. I want Kelly to know that. All that drywall you see is just the interior wall to our hallway, and swinging a hammer at it, not the best way to avoid trouble. I would really like to avoid having to work on things other than this project.
It's a B9. This one kind of doesn't matter. Like, it's
Really anxious to find out if all Jacob's cuts are accurate.
Oh yeah, baby. Woo! Ow! That fits nice. Good job, Jacob.
He cut almost every piece of wood for this thing, and figuring out how to fix a bunch of messed up pieces would kind of be a headache. After all, there was a total of 93 pieces that I gave to him, so lots of room for error. I made it work. I'll let that one slide.
My wife is probably going crazy right now. I'm like beating on the house like it's a drum.
I don't know how many more of these built-in projects I'm gonna do on my channel, but I'm calling it. I think I'd be able to take this whole thing down and patch it up in about 3 days. What do you think? I'm super curious though. Do you have any crazy ideas where you could put a tiny office in your home that I can steal? Would love to see everybody's imaginations run wild.
My wife is gonna hate me. I'm sorry, Kelly. Don't think I don't recognize the sacrifices you make for this channel, Kelly. I mean, I gotta pay the bills somehow, but I appreciate you sacrificing. You to bay.
Let's gloss over most of the electrical I'm doing. You should probably not copy any of this.
So I might have hit the wall a little bit too hard. This is inside the house.
But we're only about 10% of the way through. You know what, let's play a little game to make this interesting. If all the cuts are accurate, he gets a $50 Home Depot gift card. So basically, I lose no matter what. Lately, I've been feeling a bit distracted after work.
Woo! Alright.
Always working in my head, thinking about the current project I'm on. I love what I do, honestly, I can't imagine a better job. But I don't want the craziness of it getting in the way of quality time with my family. I'm hoping that if my office is a little more separated and not in the house, I can keep a healthier balance. At the end of the day, my family's more important to me and I don't want work getting in the way of it. Real quick, I've made it my job to do this for a living. Does that make sense? And I do more than making tiny boxes in weird places. In fact, in my next video, I'm gonna be making a desk that just might break your mind and give you a bit of childhood nostalgia while having the most satisfying organizational method out there, so subscribe so you don't miss it. Speaking of getting in the way of work, I don't want stairs on this thing that are gonna get in the way of working in my workshop. Like the legs, I've gone through a bunch of ideas for how I'm gonna get in this office. Full on stairs? No, takes up too much space in my shop and ruins the vibe.
Shh. Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Then I had the idea to use some sort of compressed air, too loud and potentially dangerous.
Load-bearing wall? I don't care. Bear this load!
Electric motors like on a standing desk? Unless I was gonna spend thousands of dollars, it would take over a minute to get in. That sounds pretty impractical. And again, anybody can make a tiny office. The main goal for this project is to make one that I'll actually use. That's way more of a challenge. I'm really hoping Morley gives me something good. Maybe I should have had a plan before starting this thing. Whatever the case, my test at the end is gonna be practical. I'll be getting in and out of it like I normally would for my workday, so if I don't like it, I'll let you know.
Again, I'm sorry, Kelly. I'm really sorry. She's got a good attitude.
I was very purposeful in not using wood glue on this project because that would have been foolish. That way, if I ever need to take this thing down, I don't have to do it with a sledgehammer.
If I hit less times and I hit harder, they don't have to listen to it for as long.
Since the studs were different from what I originally anticipated, I did have to make some changes to some of the cuts, but those were not Jacob's fault. So far, so good. And you may be wondering, why did you get your friend to cut the wood for you? Fair question. My answer? No more questions, please. No, my last project took 4 months. That's my answer. And look what I'm doing here. Can't you tell I need help?
It's gonna be just fine. Trust me, it's gonna be just fine.
Let me just insecurely assure you that the metal frame below is doing all the heavy lifting here. All this framing's just making sure it doesn't fall forward. I'm hoping. After all, my biceps are thicker than the metal legs holding it up, and that's saying something.
That'll do.
Like always, I'm going to be incorporating lighting into this project, but as always, the lighting didn't go exactly according to plan. With these pieces of wood, I'm going to be recessing a groove for some LED strips. The lights on this project will be a lot bluer to fit the modern industrial vibe of my garage. Oh yeah, have I told you about that yet? I'm planning on making this thing look like a shipping container, which I think will look really cool, but we're just going to have to wait and find out.
The felt on the bottom, that's nice.
A little too late for that, since this frame already scratched my floors all over the place.
Oh wow, that's really lovely.
Real quick, I just want to give a big thank you to Bambu Lab for sponsoring this video.
Plug and play, baby.
A little bit later, I had the honor of helping to unveil their latest tool, which, when I got it, was not released to the public. That was kind of cool. Felt like I had an early VIP screening to a big Hollywood movie. I'll be doing the big unveiling to that a little later. They tasked me with using it to make something, so I'm finally building an invention I've wanted to create for a long time. If it works, it could be a real game changer for woodworkers.
Yeah, all right. That's one.
Needless to say, the deck on this thing is gonna be solid. I used self-tapping screws to attach the wood to the steel. Only problem is, these screws are meant for sheet metal, not 1/8" steel. So I had to resort to drilling each hole in the steel, and between my skinny arms and dull drill bits, it was a dance to remember. I'm not much of a metal worker. The chop saw and welder were already out of my comfort zone. But the more I get the little things right here and there, the more confident I am in working with it.
Oh, okay. Why did I respond like that.
And then there's situations like that remind me of my skill level. I've never used metal lubricant before. In fact, I bought it for this very purpose, and who would have thunk it? It made a big difference.
Looks good. Gonna have to adjust a lot.
I'm looking forward to having some separation from what's going on inside the house, not for my sake, but for my family's. My boys are too young to have any concept of time. Yesterday I walked through the house 5 minutes into my workday and my son asked, "Daddy, are you done working?" This way I'm not constantly getting their hopes up walking through the house 20 times a day. Working from home has its challenges, but I love it. And at this point, I don't really dream of going out and getting a bigger shop. It's been great being right next to my family, and I think this might give me the best of both worlds.
I'd say that's good enough. I'll take it. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Whatever.
I had an old box of Phillips head screws that I used for pretty much the entire project, and boy was that a mistake. I, like everybody else, grew up using them and still go for them sometimes on certain projects because they're generally cheaper, but for this project I should have just spent the extra few dollars and used Torx head bits. Phillips head screws need constant pressure as you drive them in, so when you're at weird angles like I was on this project, you have to extend your arms out and really push, because if you don't, bit's gonna slip and totally mess up the head of the bit. How do you know when you're doing that? You hear a lot of bolts in a blender sound like you can hear during some of this. I cut out most of it though, so you don't have to listen to it. Torx head screws just stay on the bit and usually don't even need any pressure. They just pull themselves in. Well, Jacob, we're down to our last few pieces and it looks like you've done a pretty good job. Well done. You get the gift card.
Thanks, Joey.
Wow, I cut way too much off. Dang it. I tried to fit this to this opening. What did I do? So far off. So now I gotta reroute.
My original plan was to have this pod directly on the ceiling, but since the studs threw me off, now it's sitting about 5 inches below. Well, I'm gonna take advantage of it, because I just had an idea.
Lights up there, make it glow. Boom, bright, yeah, ooh.
But before I do that, I noticed a bit of a problem here. See, the work I do on this channel is kind of all over the place. I do woodworking, metalworking, and other random stuff that I don't really have the opportunity to build specialized skill. That means my framing didn't come together square. But it also means that I'm not quick remembering all the solutions with how to fix stuff like this.
That don't look right. I gotta fix that. Look at that.
I'm hoping I can fix this and it doesn't look like some sort of an optical illusion. And then I remembered, I don't need framing to be perfect. I can just use shims. And that I did. Correcting all these wonky curves is taking some major shimnastics. And this isn't like other projects that I can just throw away. It's stuck to my wall, so if I can't get this molding straight, I'll be dizzy and frustrated looking at it every day.
There's some major lumps right here that are causing some huge gaps in the molding, and this thing's sticking out. So I'm gonna take a carving disc to it, naturally. We'll see how that goes.
I think having the office in here will be helpful for offloading footage. Every once in a while at the end of my workday, I come inside to drop footage and my wife and kids shout for joy, set off confetti poppers, and signal the mariachi band to get going, only for me to tell them I have 10 more minutes of work.
I cannot figure out what all of a sudden happened to my nail gun. Battery's good, it's not jammed. Can you comment down below to tell me what is the problem? Oh, I figured out the issue. I was trying to nail it into metal.
Can I just say though that I've been loving my brad nailer. As someone who started DIY with more of an interest in fine woodworking, I used to be ashamed using a brad nailer. And yeah, well, it's not great for fine woodworking. It works great for things like this. My problem is thinking every project is fine woodworking, but when spackle and paint is involved, brad nails are amazing.
I put one on wrong again.
All right, we're 125 shims and 648 brad nails enough to correct my wonky framing and straighten out this molding.
All right, I had some pretty wonky edges, but they cleaned up real nice. Because I was referencing the 2x4s on my molding, but look at that. Got a lot of gap there to shim, but nice and flush. It's looking, woo! It's just like, ooh!
Now the next question is, will I be able to successfully drywall over metal legs so that they disappear? Or is it gonna look like I'm hiding a fat-legged dead body in my wall? I used 2 sheets of drywall for this project, and I don't know what happened, maybe I didn't clean it up all the way, but I was cleaning a hazy white film off of my flooring for weeks. Now here's the problem with hiding these legs.
Is that being quiet?
The legs are 4 inches thick and inside the wall is only 3¼ inches.
Sorry, Grandpa.
So I can't actually put any drywall on top of them without it sticking out 3/4 of an inch. That means that all I can do is put joint tape and plaster all over it. I've never seen anybody do that over metal, so I'm not really sure it's gonna stick or not. I've only patched up drywall a few times in my life and it turned out pretty good, but this is obviously a bit different. You might also be wondering, the feet are sticking out underneath it. That's not very subtle. Don't worry, I've got a plan. Well, an idea, I think. Morley and I have been friends for over a year now, but the thing is, we've never actually met in person. But we do talk a lot about YouTube, share ideas, and give each other feedback on our videos. He commented on one of my videos welcoming me to the DIY community, and I said, dude, I've been binging your videos lately, and basically it's been magical ever since. While I wait for that to dry, I'm gonna move on to other things.
The best tool to use to spread caulk is your finger. But in this case, this is my finger. It's just my finger because I bought it. Let's try this thing out.
Not great so far. Why did I buy this? I've already got 10 of them I could use, not to mention an assorted size of toes.
Honestly, after all this, I'm convinced that my actual finger is the best tool.
Shims and caulking, the 2 tools that can make anyone look like a professional molderer. There is no gap that this duo cannot defeat.
So this is kind of crazy, check this out. Got this from the store. 2 feet, 2 inches. I did not get this from the store, I made this. Not thinking about that. 2 feet, 2 inches.
I got this to mimic the corrugated steel on shipping containers. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted the Cloud Pod to look like. At first when I made concept art, I gave it a tactical look. I shared it with my brother for feedback and he said, your garage isn't tactical, you know.
Wow, well that couldn't have gone better.
I was like, oh, you're right. And that's how I ended up on this. But I'm not so sure I'm gonna be able to make the corrugated plastic look believable. No promises, y'all.
This stapler stinks. Well, I'm also trying to staple it through some hard stuff, so I won't blame the stapler.
It's time to add the primer so the yellow paint will stick, and I should have done a couple more coats because the fact that the green is so opposite of yellow causes some problems in a bit. Alright, the leg wall's dry, and it's time for me to add spray texture. I'm not really sure the purpose of this stuff, but my guess is that it exists for this very purpose, hiding things.
Well, that looks pretty good.
That drywall texture made a big difference. Next step is black paint, and hopefully that seals the deal. But while that dries, I'm bringing this banana to life. I chose black paint for the Cloud Pod because when I had the idea to paint it yellow, I said the same thing my cousin said to his now wife about her dress on their first date. That's a lot of yellow. But I really want to make it stand out and pop, so we're going with yellow. But don't worry, I have a plan to remove some of it in my shop.
I just stepped back and looked at this and I was like, dang, that looks sick. It looks like it's hanging off the wall. Those legs are really hidden and I cannot wait to get that thing painted black and see how it all looks. What's enamel? Should I not be mixing enamel with this? What's enamel?
According to Wikipedia, a mammal is a vertebrate animal of the class Mammalia. Mammals are characterized by the presence of milk-producing mammary glands for feeding their young,
Milk.
a broad neocortex region of the brain.
Why am I painting this white? Because I should have listened to Matt, Team Edge's old set builder. He always said if you're trying to paint from dark to light, always put down a couple coats of white first. So instead of listen, I decided to put down a coat of white fourth to try to counteract some of that green.
You may not be able to see, but you see the like dark spots shining through? They're still coming through. All over.
All in all, it took me about 6 coats when, if I had done it correctly, I probably could have gotten away with 3 or 4. To cover up the rough drywall edges, I used a little bit of leftover trim.
Oh my goodness, what? Oh gosh. What is going on? No. Thick paint.
Alright, we're gonna see in a second when we finish up all the paint if I was able to successfully hide these legs in the wall to sell the floating office illusion, and if I was able to pull off the paint job on the corrugated plastic to make it look like a shipping container. Drum roll please. Well, so far we've done it. The green on the plastic is not at all showing through, and I think it really looks like a tiny repurposed shipping container. And once we hide these feet somehow, the legs are really gonna disappear. As far as the drywall is concerned, it looks like it's always been there. What do you think? On a scale of 1 to 10, how well would that fool you? My personal opinion is that it looks good enough to have earned a like. But you do you, baby. I think I've probably pressed like on like 3 YouTube videos in my life. 1 was my own and 2 were probably an accident. I was anxious to see if my planer and bandsaw fit under this thing, which is the whole reason I didn't put the Cloud Pod on the ground. These tools take up too much room and can't be put on the ceiling themselves. Once we get all the dust collection pipes figured out, we can test the fit on those and see how this thing will look long term. Honestly, just don't pay attention to him and he'll stop. He's just looking for attention. Well, with the finishing touches, these things slide right in and are a perfect fit. Beautiful.
My buddy said he didn't think I could jump into this. So basically, I'll see you in a few weeks after my sprained ankle's healed up. Whoa! Ow! It actually did hurt my ankle. Ow! That hurt. And I didn't even land weird. That was just jumping. It's fine. Ugh. What's up, John? Quick, 28.5 divided by 2. 14.25. Boom, beat ya.
When I started putting in the lights and wall paneling, I realized I made a little bit of an oversight with the drywall. I even caught it on camera without noticing at the time. I'm guessing you didn't see it, but to cover this drywall, I went with acoustic panels. They're similar to the slat wall I used in my last tiny office, but way cheaper, thinner, and easier to install. The old ones had actual wood slats and were kind of a pain to put up.
When I put the drywall in, I forgot to cut out a hole for the outlet that is currently behind there. So that means I just gotta cut it out, I guess. Let's start poking around, yeah?
But before I destroy this wall, I want to show you that tool I was talking about earlier that I got from Bambu Lab. A couple years ago, they sent me their flagship X1 Carbon, which has been great, but the company has moved forward and just sent me their latest model, the H2S. What's great about this thing? It's humongous and actually has the largest build volume of any of their printers. That's gonna come in handy when I show you my invention, but for now, I tested it out with a Gladiator helmet.
Would you look at that?
Okay, time to start stabbing this wall.
I could stick that right in the outlet and shock myself. I better turn off the circuit. This is so ugly, don't look at this.
Hopefully I can uncover this thing without doing too much damage, but it turns out I actually hammered it into the stud wrong, because as it is right now, it's sitting fully flush with the drywall and it should be sticking out so that I can attach the outlet plate over the drywall.
Whew. Working overhead is so tiring.
I'm gonna have to do a bit of research to see if there's a solution to fix that outlet that doesn't require me to take off the acoustic paneling and the drywall. That would not be uber delicious.
Yeah. Let's go, that looks beautiful. Whoa, it's so dead quiet in here, it's almost weird. Oh, that's creepy. I don't know if I'm gonna like that.
Kind of felt like one of those acoustic rooms that are supposed to make you go crazy after 20 minutes. That might be a knock against usability.
Grandpa's tool for the win. Let's see what we got, Gramps. Hey.
After doing a bit of research, I found out that Home Depot sells junction box extensions for doofs like me. Who would have guessed it? How convenient is that? So now I just have to cut a hole in the panel smaller than my outlet plate and we're good. Crisis averted. It came time to finally install those ceiling lights, and I learned a couple good lessons from this experience. One philosophical and one more practical. Kind of because I liked the way one turned out and didn't like the way the other turned out.
This thing is weak.
Okay, so that might not be fully true, because the practical lesson I feel like I still don't fully understand, but maybe you can clarify it for me. But it's to not use lighting to draw focus away from your main subject, which this light does, and I don't end up liking it. And the other more philosophical lesson I've known for a while, but I'm always pleasantly reminded of, is to take flaws and make them features. The cloud pod is sitting at about 5 inches lower than I originally anticipated, which could have been a flop, but adding some of these lights to the top of it, well, you'll just have to see for yourself.
Thanks, son. I actually really like that. I don't like this one. It's illuminating the tool. By the way, the bump cap, I've hit my head too many times, and Milwaukee makes this thing that can, this bump cap that can slip in, look at that, slip in snapbacks like perfectly. And I love it.
Well, my printers were sitting idle, calling for me to let them print something, so I thought I would get a jump on some of the organizational methods I'm planning on using. That way the printers and I can be working at the same time. I 3D printed a few organizer drawers that fit my exact needs. They have this little grid system on them that allows you to be hyper organized in any way you can imagine, so I 3D printed little SD card holders for them and was able to add my own text to the front of them. This way my cards can stay organized, and instead of walking through the house to drop footage, the SD cards never have to leave the garage. After that, I printed a little shipping container tissue box to fit the theme of the cloud pod and help me combat all the sawdust I snort in the garage. Here's a little sneak peek of when I install those prints later. Well, I'm putting in these lights, which I thought would be a shoo-in, but surprisingly I end up being on the fence about. I keep wondering what Morley's going to give me in a bit for how I should get into this pod. He's always got some wild idea I'd never think of, so I'm excited to see where he's going to go with this one.
All right, here we go. We're gonna turn on the LED strips. There we go. Not what I was expecting. I made it too custom. I did too good of a job. That's a joke. But I recessed the lights in a groove. And I think that's coming back to bite me, because I can't see it as much as I would like to from an angle. Well, I tried to get a tiny yellow spot of paint off the ceiling, and what I never realized was that it was never painted. So I just wiped off the drywall texture and made it so much worse. And I don't know. I guess I'll just spray more texture. Hey!
Hey, what's up?
How'd it go? Did you think of anything for my tiny office?
I did. I think my ideas are kind of dumb, but they could be fun.
Okay.
The first one, I feel like one obvious solution is a trampoline. You'd have to really like yeet off of there to get up 3 feet. Being able to quickly get in and out, I feel like would be really nice.
That's the hope. That's the desire. I definitely can't walk around in this thing.
Yeah. Well then, in that case, you'll probably hate my second idea.
Okay.
Which is, you know those stair lifts that like senior citizens use?
Yeah, like the ones that like slowly take you upstairs while you're sitting.
Yeah, I feel like the positioning is perfect for that, and it would look hilarious on camera.
Okay, I'm not gonna give you a spoiler on whether I'm gonna use these or not. Let me think about it.
Think about it. It's a really good idea.
Dang it, I did them wrong. Doesn't really matter, the wood's thick, but I still did it wrong. These should be on the other side. Oh, they can be. That was easy. Wow, that's strong.
Generally, for most of my builds, I make a lot of concept art. I find it's the best way to create things you end up liking in the end. It's a lot easier to draw a new picture than it is to build a new project. But for whatever reason, I know what the reason was. I was in a rush. I didn't do concept art for this chair.
Sticks out a lot.
In the past, that's always been my mistake, but what are you gonna do? You boys gotta move. My intention for the seat is to make it look a lot more like a built-in bench than a simple office chair.
Use a clamp, idiot. Use a clamp.
I don't know why, but I just love a built-in bench. I'm the guy who, when the host of the restaurant asks if I have a seating preference, always says, yes, I would like a booth, please. And then they watch me as I sprawl out all over that thing like I just got punched by Sugar Ray Leonard.
What? What am I missing? Oh, you can't put hinges on the inside. Gosh.
There was flaw after flaw as a result of my hurry, and when you keep on in a hurry, flaws get hurried fixes.
All right, let's give it a test. Okay, that works. I'll take it. It's no pocket hinges, but it'll do.
Will it, Joey? Will it? You may be surprised to find out that I spent a day on this thing, and let's just say the lack of concept art definitely made itself known.
I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Looks ugly. Dumb. The gray's too blue. The hinges too plain. I gotta stop rushing things. Slow it down, Joe it down.
Before I take another attempt at that chair, I want to show you the invention I came up with after Bambu Lab challenged me to use their printer to solve a problem. Every time I use the table saw, I have to drag over and connect the dust pipe, which is a tripping hazard. So using the giant print volume of the H2S, I made a low-profile dust pipe that can be walked over, and I thought it would clog, but it works wonderfully. How cool is that?
Look how low that sits. That's insane.
If I wanted to drive a car over it, I could have gone with a high-strength filament, but those can be tricky to work with. Luckily, when printing with high-temp filaments like PPACF, this is exactly where the H2S comes into play. With a 350°C hot end, 65° actively heated chamber, and closed-loop fan control, the H2S can reliably print the full Bambu filament lineup, from PLA and PETG to PC and PPA. This printer's really allowed me to do some things that I didn't think were possible for a dude in his garage. If you're interested in getting one of these printers for yourself, use the affiliate link in the description. Okay, back to it then. Yeah, I think ditching that last chair was the right move, partly because Kelly said it looked like an RV chair. You know, it's hard when you have a high standard but are also in a rush, because those things typically don't work well together. So I decided to slow it down on this one. I made some concept art I think looks pretty cool, so we'll see if my theory about concept art pays off this time. I had to make a few iterations. I showed Kelly the first drawing and she said, yeah, that's much more of a futuristic look than the last one. I said, well, I'm not going for futuristic, so I guess that one's out the window. Industrial. I tried to really get to the core of what industrial looked like, so you'll have to let me know what you think. If I hadn't been in a rush, I probably would have saved a lot of time. I had to make 2 chairs, and I can't fit 2 chairs in the Cloud Pod. I went to Home Depot and perused around, thought air vents might look industrial. I noticed that the normal vents I originally wanted that they had at Home Depot were kind of expensive, and that these ones were a couple bucks, and I actually think that these fit the vibe a lot better. Oh, and the second thing that I did for the more industrial look was leaving those plywood edges exposed. Got the inspiration on that one from my workbench, which I didn't even do intentionally. And the third vibe perk I did was useless bolts. You get the picture. Anyways, am I the only one that has a hard time not thinking about work when I'm with the family? I guess if I hated my job, I might not, but my brain has a tendency to start going other places sometimes. My wife always knows I'm thinking about work when she says something like, the kids had fun at the zoo today. They were excited because they finally got to see the elephant. And I respond with, okay. Okay, that might not be totally hypothetical. I'm working on it, I really am. Step 1, more building. Make tiny office and garage.
This little piece, 20-25 minutes.
I don't know what it is with angles, but they be hard for me. I guess if I knew what it was, they wouldn't be.
Here we go. Yeah, buddy, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's a good start.
This little miter tool that came with my saw was pretty helpful. If I didn't have it, I might have messed up even more.
Okay, that looks good there. Wait, do I have it? What happened? It's like a ½ inch too short. Come on.
As is, the side on this chair might break off if I have a single one of those convulsing sneezes that I get, so I'm gonna brace it up, which you'll see in a bit. The idea behind this chair is to obviously look like a built-in without actually requiring making any sort of seat myself. I literally just bought an office chair on Amazon and am building a box around it. I think that was a really great solution to speed up this process. On my last office pod, I attempted leather upholstery and it was humbling. I actually got an email from a professional leather worker that was in one of Blacktail Studios' videos, and he said, "Please don't do that again. Let me do it for you." I might just take him up on that one day. This chair didn't seem like it was worth bothering him for though. Now that I'm adding the finishing touches, it's time to see if my concept art paid off. I'm super happy with how that turned out. Now on to the next step, the desk. When I planned this pod, I measured myself sitting at a desk by myself. Not the easiest thing to do accurately, but now the pod's built and the measurements are locked. If I got them wrong, this thing might not be comfortable to work at, and that could make the whole pod kind of pointless. So I'm kind of just hoping for the best here.
Smells like pancakes.
Matte black spray paint. I've used it in 6 of my 7 builds. It's perfect for hiding things. I try to always keep a couple cans on hand because you never know when you're gonna need it. I'm so used to trying to hide every bit of joinery on my projects that it took me a while to realize, wait, exposed screws are good here. So I'm just gonna throw them right onto the top of this thing.
Not ideal, not ideal. Shims? Yeah, shims.
This is the last step, and then I can do the old sit test to find out if I fit or not. Drum roll, please.
All right, that's what I'm talking about, brother.
Alright, well this is the best shot I have of me sitting at it, but it works great. It's at just the right height. It's at a good depth to be able to have a keyboard and some more room to store things on top of it.
These are gonna be annoying to put all along the wall. I should have just got squares. Sweet, still works.
You may be wondering why in a dusty shop I'm using carpet instead of flooring. I want it to feel cozy. On cold days, I want to be able to spend long hours with my shoes kicked off, the door closed so that my body heat warms up the place, so I can just lock in. Thanks to one of you guys commenting, I learned a better way to cut this plexi. In the last Office Pod video, I used a very barbaric method, so it was nice that the track saw was a lot more accurate. I also bought these special drill bits in the last video that's required for this, and they were $60, and I missed the return window, so I'm glad to be able to finally use them. One of my concerns with this stuff versus using glass is that it seems to attract a lot more dust. But apparently, you can buy a spray for this stuff that'll cause it to be anti-static. What's next? Something I can spray on it to grow cucumbers? We have made it, folks. We are truly in the future. This window is easy. The one we got coming next will be anything but that. It's easy to do these short, easy tasks as a way to avoid a hard one. Sometimes it's nice to just hit a softball out of the park. Next up is the glass door. The piece I thought would seal this pod off for total work-life separation. The piece that'll allow me to lock in when I'm working and will keep me out when I'm not. With dimensions that I built this entire pod around. The piece that I have to avoid shattering when I install it 6 feet off the ground. And now comes the realization.
Doesn't fit. Oh, that's not good.
My hand slipped a couple times, plunging the tool into the edge of the LED strip, but I think I'm good.
Okay, I think that time I did cut the LED strip. Yeehaw! Still works. These things are pretty Brazilian.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Joey. You're still not out of the woods yet. I may have fit this part of the door frame, but this door is far from in, and that was far from the only issue with it.
Look at that gap.
So apparently my office pod wall was far from plumb, so hopefully I can cover that giant gap later. That is if this door even ends up working. More issues with it to come.
Here we go. Initial test. I don't think I cut it big enough. Let's try again. Oh, it's so close. Yes. Yeah, buddy. Oh, Oh yeah. Okay, I'm scared to leave this.
Sorry, Joey, problems aren't over.
Oh, it gives me the shivvies, man. I've got a problem. I gotta drill into this thing right where the desk is. I also have to get inside there to drill. I always do things in the worst order. Oh my. Woo! Ugh. Directions said to use a helper, but I'm feeling feisty. So no helper for me today. I've got one shot at this. This is so sketchy. What do I do? I do not know. Okay, this is a little sketchy. Okay.
Sorry again, Joey, problems aren't over. You're fighting for it, but this thing keeps fighting back.
What? It's too long. Well, I know what you're thinking. Why didn't you measure? I did. I think. I'm pretty sure I did. Right here, we got a little gap there, and then it hangs over quite a bit. It's supposed to sit inside. Isn't this supposed to fold out? Or am I supposed to go, I'm supposed to do this? I guess I put the door hinges on wrong too. Okay.
I told myself I'd take a break and think about it overnight. So naturally, I distracted myself by 3D printing a tiny pillow for my phone as a way to put my phone to rest for the night. You know, work-life boundaries. But if I'm honest, if I leave this door until tomorrow, I still won't be mentally with my family tonight. So I decided to get back to it and defeat the door once and for all.
Come on. What do I got going on here? Okay, this has all been dumb. I'm gonna try and get Kelly to help me. Okay, I shouted inside. Kelly was not there. We're doing this on our own. Oh, what? Oh, that's why.
I had put the hinges on wrong, which made the door all wonky, and fixing them helped, but it didn't solve the problem. The door still wouldn't close. Luckily, I had an idea for a solution.
Okay, so I checked the LEDs again, and I did bust the lights. You gotta laugh. You just gotta laugh. I'm not laughing, but you have to.
After realizing that the wood sticking out was just a result of my shoddy craftsmanship, I realized I could just use a flush trim bit to lance it off like an invasive skin tag colony. See ya, time to see if the door fits.
I thought I covered everything, but look at all that dust that still got in somehow. Man, that was a lot of dust. But the good news is the door fits nicely.
You know, the door didn't fit, but that actually turned out to be a good thing, because it worsened a problem I had before that I was actually avoiding addressing, and it forced me to fix it. And also, that door may technically fit now, but it's still swinging in too far and has a huge gap. So hopefully we can correct those issues as well. I went ahead and tackled those first, and it turned out great. For that problem I was ignoring before, the LED strips that I didn't like. I made a piece to extend the LEDs out, and I fixed the LEDs that I cut. And I'm so glad I did, because I really think having the LEDs exposed more will look way better. When I was planning for this next step, the cabinets with this special hidden feature, I made a mistake that I hope you and I can learn from and avoid in the future. I went cheap on the plywood. I figured I'm gonna paint it, it'll probably be fine. I'm also gonna screw everything together, which will pull it all into square. Only problem is when you run a potato chip through the table saw, you're not gonna get a 90-degree cut. I spent all day planning these boxes and about an hour and a half cutting all the pieces up. I don't know why it took so long. What's funny about this build is that I put something giant in my garage and really didn't lose any space, which I guess was the point.
That's one. Now for the next one.
But not only that, I gained space for storage.
You know, it doesn't really matter too much that this plywood is warped because these pocket holes are pulling it into square. It's shop furniture, after all.
Or so I thought. Might have spoken too soon.
That doesn't look great. Look how bowed that is. I'm hoping that when I get the drawers in there, it'll space everything out.
Another bit of hardware on top of the brad nail that's been really great and sped up my process is the pocket hole screw. Again, as someone who's super into woodworking, that's not normally the most coveted way to join things together, so I haven't used it a whole lot.
What? Why?
But let me tell you, they're super quick and pretty strong if you do them right.
All right.
But you know, I think I still have a bit of learning to do with them.
This pretty much sums up how these cabinets went. And I'm using it.
One of my pocket hole problems was that I didn't have all the proper clamps, and let me tell you, you need clamps if you're using pocket holes or your board will not come together right. I have 4 goals with these cabinets. The second goal is the obvious, storage. Third is to cover the feet of the CloudPod legs, and the last goal is to just fill in the dead space under the planer and make it look a bit more finished. But my number 1 goal is this little hidden feature here. These drawers won't be supported by the drawer slides, their weight will be supported by the ground, because they need to be able to support about 200 pounds. And with the way things are going, in about 5 years, they'll need to support about 220, because these are going to be the steps that I use to get into the CloudPod. Well, hopefully, if those pocket hole screws are as strong as I say they are.
This is the first step of this process. Literally. First step. It's sliding on the floor right now. It should just be a hair, a few millimeters above the floor, so that when I put my weight on it, it'll rest on the floor, hopefully. So let's see how it slides out. Slides out nicely. Next step, the next step.
Oh yeah. I just hit my head so hard. Ow. I opened this and then I went down, or maybe it opened and I rammed my head on this thing so hard. And my guts in my head are feeling shaky. Where's the bump cap? I may have made a few mistakes on this thing. Shocking, I know. So before I risk my life testing if these cheapo plywood cabinets can hold me, I had to add some clever mechanisms. With this pin, halfway through pulling out the bottom drawer, the top one pops out too. And if that's still too much work, I even made it so that I don't need to use my hands at all. Usability, baby. Also, I wanted to make sure I could still use these as storage because I knew I would kick myself later if I didn't do it. When I first started making these cabinets, I was pretty confident that I could make them look like pro-grade cabinets, even though I was starting with rough materials. Now I'm not so sure. How good of an idea do you think those stairs are for getting in? Do you have a better one? I'd love to hear it. Before I test those steps, I let the paint dry, and I'm moving on to installing my monitor. This giant arm was gonna be my method for holding it up, and after a minute of looking at it, I decided it was just gonna take up too much room. I realized I could come up with something else that wouldn't take up all my desk space. I won't make you watch it, but I kept splitting wood pieces and having all sorts of hole placement issues, but eventually I got it done. I did it, and I think it looks pretty good. One of the best parts of these tiny office builds is not just having a tiny place to sit at the computer, but turning that space into a fully functional office where you have everything you need.
Hold up. Oh, man.
That's the goal with this pegboard, but I just messed it up. Guess what? I fixed it with 3D printing. Guess my dad was right about the jigsaw because my cut was anything but straight. That edge was super visible, but luckily it only took about an hour to print out that little trim piece to cover up the edge. You might be thinking, an hour? I could have made that piece out of wood in like 20 minutes. That may be true, but I took a nap while it was being printed. Can you nap while you woodwork? This is my solution for there being too much yellow in my shop, and I think it made a big difference. These gray ones just feel kind of fancy. I don't know, maybe they just look like wool or something. Gives it a recording studio vibe. And during all that, I finished my step cabinets, which turned out pretty great, I do say so myself. The last step I didn't show on camera was me anchoring it into the wall so that when I'm using it, it stays in place.
Boom, baby. Steps are finished. Boom, boom. Right now I'm gonna take my shoes off because they're a little dirty. That's okay. You open the door first. Of course, you can't walk through a door. Come on. Okay. Step, step. Handle's gonna go up here. Boom. Bada bing, bada boom. I love it. And then you get out. Made for tall people, no short people allowed. I added a handle up in there to make it easier to get in.
We're now onto the finishing touches of the build, the cherries on top that'll make this thing legit. Once those are done, I'll be able to say this project is finished and you'll know how much this thing costs and just how long this build took. I have a plan for fixing my issue with the carpet, but first I gotta work on the things that'll really make it look like a shipping container. All shipping containers have these corner castings. I didn't look that name up, I knew it in the womb. Usually they're the same color as the shipping container, but I decided it would really make them pop if I painted them pink. No, I'm kidding, but I did paint them black. The hole's also usually a pill shape, but a circle was easier and I didn't really think it would make a difference.
This has got to go, the black carpet. It shows the dust. I want to show you the difference between black and gray. You see that dust there? You can't really see it. And any speck of dust you can see on the black.
Next was the bolt heads, and nothing says industrial like bolt heads, so before printing all of them I tried out this size.
Too big.
So I sized them down a little bit and tested that out.
Yeah. that's better.
Then I went ahead and printed all of them. If I didn't print these out, I would have had to buy a bunch of different sized bolts, then cut the threads off and then paint them, which would have been expensive and a hassle. Printing all these out cost 36 cents. The next print is a little thank you to Bambu. This is a tiny filament spool that I'm going to use as my door handle. All it took was a little sticky back tape and it worked wonderfully. We'll see if Morley notices this little detail, or even if he notices that the cloud pod is supposed to be a shipping container. If he doesn't notice that, he might be dumb. When I came up with the name for the cloud pod, Kelly said, "That makes me think of fluffy white clouds." And, well, that's her problem.
I dig that.
For me, it's more of a nod to Bespin, Cloud City. That's what I think of, and you should too. I had this stencil made at a local shop, which also could have done vinyl stickers, but I kind of wanted the messy spray paint vibe you would see on a shipping container. I needed a little cable organizer for my laptop cord that could be screwed into the desk because the adhesive ones never work, and I didn't want to have to wait a day for it to get to my house, so I was able to 3D print one in about 20 minutes. I thought it was pretty cool that I unexpectedly needed something and had it within 20 minutes. That's faster than I could have gone to the store. Getting it on Amazon would have been like $5. This was 25 cents. And this is the very last step before I reveal this thing to Morley. Can't wait to see what he thinks. I also can't wait to see what you think. Do me a favor and rate this compared to my other projects. At the end, I will do the last ultimate test to see if the cloud pod will work as my daily office by sitting it for a solid 8-hour workday with my normal snack and lunch breaks. This test will be so normal, so mundane, and so routine that it's bordering on the extreme. Real quick, let's talk about how much this thing cost and how long it took. It surprisingly wasn't my longest project at 2.5 months and not my most expensive at $3,700. Okay, now let's show this thing to Morley. Hopefully he enjoys it. Hey!
What's up, dude?
How's it going, man?
I'm good. I'm at the Hackspace right now. I was chamfering 150 slats to make a tambour door.
Oh my goodness. All right, the time has come for me to reveal the tiny office to you.
I'm so excited. Yes.
I've been working on it for quite a while now.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Whoa! Wow, that looks like AI. That looks like a rendering.
That's the nicest thing you could have said to me.
Wow, okay, so it's like shipping container themed.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like, it's like the industrial vibe of my garage.
Wow, that's crazy.
Thanks, man.
I've never seen anything like that before.
I love that. I got a smile on my face, you can't tell.
Wow, oh, cool. You got, wow, it's like a, I'm trying to like get a knee-jerk reaction to like what the aesthetic is for the inside, but I don't know, it's so unique. Cloud pod, cool.
All right, so the challenge was that if you inform my decision for how I get into this thing, you get a bobblehead. And you get the bobblehead.
No way.
No, that's not happening. Can you guess though how I get in this?
I'm seeing like a cavity under the seat. So I'm wondering if something comes out of that.
Nope. That would have been a really good idea. What the heck?
Okay, I'm gonna guess that you're literally just climbing into it. That there's no additional anything.
All right, so this is steps.
That's good. That's very sleek.
Not many people can get into it but me.
Yeah, that last step looks like a doozy. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, well that's incredible. What a project.
Peace.
Peace.
Now, to answer the question, will this tiny cloud pod actually work as my daily office? I spent the entire day working in there, and while my rear was kind of sore, that's more of a grandpa butt issue. Turns out, I don't flail my arms around much while I work, so I don't need all that much space at a desk. Only problem is it's kind of only for tall people. Other than that, it works awesome. I love it. In fact, I've been working in here for a few weeks now, and it's fully replaced my old office. But here's the thing, it didn't fix my daydreaming issue about work when I'm with the family. Turns out that's not a boundary problem, it's a priority problem. To lock that in, I 3D printed a little lever, a reminder to flip out of work mode and into dad mode at the end of the day, because let's be honest, that's where the real work begins. The thing is, if I'm always thinking about work when I'm with my family, I'm telling them that work matters more to me. And I don't want that to be true. So tonight, I'm gonna focus on something a little more important, like wearing a gladiator helmet and wailing on my boys with a pool noodle. Go check out the time I made an office pod under my stairs and destroyed my house for 3 months in the process.